Okay, here's a real question for you guys because I see this take a lot. People want to sell off pieces. And I feel like that's kind of a cop out because then if we fall short of the playoffs, you have this little nugget in your fan pocket that can, oh, I said we should have traded guys, but at the same time, like if you're committing to selling pieces now, I feel like you should stop like rooting. D- Am I like it's very easy to bet against the Jets. It's very easy to say, like, to me, that's giving up if you sell off Reed now. Is
Oh,
there,
I
where
don't.
are you guys at? Is it,
I hope they bring him back next year.
The way he's playing this year, I mean, I'm kind of in that boat too, Scott. I've
Oh,
never hated
he's
DJ Reed. I thought that out of the, I mean, he was one of the most likely players to go. I thought he was a little overrated by Jets fans, but he's playing damn good this year,
he's
even though he
balling.
has
He's
lead,
balling this
dude,
but
I don't,
contract year, of course, he's playing like really good.
year. Yeah.
are we
So
all in though or not? Like, why do we want more picks for next year? Like,
No, I don't want to sell anything off yet.
yeah, that's where I'm at.
Even though I still don't think we're making the playoffs. Like I just see it as very unlikely. I'm not saying it's completely out the window, but I still see us maybe being a competitive team and winning 8 or 9 games. And having
Shaping
some
20.
motivation, some confidence to go into next season.
well, I get Allen's point, but Allen's given up for this year. I
Right.
haven't. I haven't, and I hope the hell the Jets haven't. Um,
I
but
think if they had, wouldn't they have already pulled the plug on a few things too? Maybe. I
maybe. I mean,
mean,
it's been Adams is what 3 weeks now.
yes.
So, um, so they definitely thought they were in the thick of it when they brought him in. Reddick, I don't know if they ever tried to trade Reddick or not. You heard those rumors, but that was already he was going to be on the team or traded long before the Jets were out of the playoffs. I don't think they're out. Go on a roll.
So much of it depends on what other teams decide to do too. Like, I'll tell you this thing: the teams ahead of us, I'm not that worried about. It's just like, do they finish? Like, do they go 500 the rest of the way? Do they go 750 or do they go 250? Like, it's like who's ahead of us? Denver, the Colts. Um,
Got the Colts still. Denver's got a damn easy schedule.
in the immediate in the like immediately in front of us is that, and the not like Chargers maybe, but the other two I'm not like. I wish we played head to head to get in, to be honest. It's a long path, and we probably shouldn't even be talking playoffs, but like the point is, if you sell off a piece right now, you're telling that locker room we give up. And I think you have to play it balls to the wall to shape what is here next year, even if you don't think the playoffs is coming. You know what I mean? Like you pull one plug, you pull the whole bathtub's getting drained.
Yeah,
I agree.
all out or
Um,
all in, all gas,
yeah,
no break.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna do any deals. I mean, maybe like who infrared mentioned Mike Williams. I hope they don't do it, but I could see they maybe do that one.
They can trade Lazard. Just saying.
Alan, if we were 6-3, wouldn't mention Reed. Yeah, not facts. We're 3-6 on life support, therefore losing Reed for nothing. And that's like PT Huff D, right?
Okay,
Um,
Allen. What
I get it.
could they get for Reed right now? What do you think?
On a rental, or he has to be handed a contract when he goes?
Just whatever. What could they bring back in draft capital for Reed right now?
Third.
You think so? 30-year-old corner?
Is he 30? I thought he was like 28.
I don't know. Close enough.
Don't be aging him, Scott.
Dude, I want to keep him. I want him to keep him on. Frankly, right now, I'd rather have him on the team than Sauce.
Talk about that.
Adirondack. Reload and run it back.
So here's the thing. I did want to mention, we don't know that you're not getting anything out of Reed if he walks the Sauce. Because there's this
True.
thing of
True. Yeah.
picks. You know. That's that big brain GM stuff from that 26 and 70 record or whatever the hell it is.
What did you ask though, Scott? You said, what could we get for Reed?
Yeah, I asked Alon. Alon, seems pretty adamant about wanting to trade him.
So this is my. I heard you talking about me. So this is my viewpoint. Okay. Right now, I think you can get a third for Reed. Okay. But if a team gets desperate and offers a second for Reed, I would be really tempted, honestly. Again, if this team was 6-3, this would not be a talk. This team is 3-6 going. Again, I wrote in a later chat, I wrote, this is at best a 6th or a 7th seed, okay? Do I think this team right now, yeah, you see that. Do I think this team could go to Buffalo or Baltimore and win a game? I don't. I just don't. Unfortunately, that's the problem I see with again, this is the second year in a row. Again, last year, I was disappointed they didn't trade Huff.
Can I interject?
They got nothing for a guy who was.
Can I interject real quick? If you think, and I know this is best case scenario, that 6th or 7th seed, right? That would mean we go on a hell of a run here, right?
Okay.
So that means we're going into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. You think that matter?
No, because again, you look at the rest of their schedule. They should be favored in, let's say, 6 out of the last 8 games, maybe even 7. Do I think this team goes to Orchard Park and win a game? No, I don't. I think they're going to get swept by the Bills this year. Okay. Let's say they finish 10-7. Okay. I don't even think they'll get in at 9-8. I think they lose all tiebreakers at 9-8. Okay. They got to go 7-1 to make the playoffs.
I agree.
What makes you believe that this roster can go into Baltimore or go into Buffalo and win a game? Again, if they were 6-3, this would be a complete moot point. I would say nothing. I'd ride the wind. Yeah. I have a problem when you have an asset that you're obviously not going to re-sign, because they're not going to re-sign him. He's going to ask for the moon on his last contract. So that's where I'm frustrated. So,
God, I wish we could get a bridge deal out of him, but 28, he's not giving us one.
No. Again, he will get between 3 and 4 years at $15+ million a year. There'll be a team out there that will give him $15 million for 3+ years. There will be. Again, there's a shortage. Do I think he's a number 1 corner? I do not. Do I think he's a high-end 2? I do. Again, he reminds me a lot of my second favorite. Surtain's my favorite corner in the league. But I watched Trent McDuffie, and the way he plays at that size, he has a little Trent McDuffie in him. Trent McDuffie is, 5'10", maybe? But he plays physical, makes plays when needed, and that's what Reed is. You see, Reed isn't afraid to throw his body. That's why I look at a Gardner who's 6'4". He's petrified of hitting anybody. So again, I get.
Question.
Here we go.
Okay, I want DJ Reed. Am I a DJ Reed away from a Super Bowl? Like,
No.
why am I giving a 2 or a 3 or a 2 for Reed if I can get him in 3 months?
Because there will be a team out there that will need a cornerback and they will go for it. I can see a team like
That's a narrow.
I don't think it's Philly because I think Philly did such an amazing job revamping their secondary with their two
Quignon, man.
kids, especially my favorite boy in Cooper DeJean, a stud. Okay.
Yeah, they got lucky with their draft.
I don't think Detroit's going to trade for one. Maybe they again. I think if they'll go all in, they'll go all in for a pass rusher. But there'll be a team out there that would look at a DJ Reed and say, you know what? I think he can make a difference in the postseason. I'm not saying any team would give up a 1 for him, but again, I think for a rental, a guy who could be a high end 2 would be enticing. Do I think a team will give a second? I don't know if I don't think they will. Do I think a team right now would give a 3? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you never know. In the next 48 hours, someone can get hurt. Somebody in Detroit can get hurt. Somebody in Green Bay can get hurt. Someone in Philadelphia can get hurt. Someone in Kansas City can get hurt. And they can go and get a DJ Reed. Again, if this team wasn't 3-6, this would not be a discussion. Unfortunately, I look at the situation, I'm thinking for a second straight year, they're going to let a top defensive player. And again, I never thought that they should have paid Huff money, but the idea that they let Huff go and got nothing for him frustrated me. Okay. I think they're going to do the same thing here. I think they're going to let a guy like DJ Reed walk and get nothing in return. And that's what pisses me off. It's pretty much the bottom line. Okay. I think unlike our GM, I am forward thinking. I think about next step. I think the GM doesn't do that enough. I think that's what's frustrating about watching him. So,
Hey, I wanted Quinion Mitchell in the first round. Ask
Done.
Scott and to
Done.
trade DJ 6 months ago, man. Now we're in this pickle.
He will be a top 3 cornerback in the next 2 years. That kid is unbelievable. And again,
He is.
they're playing DeJean in the right spot. He's playing somewhat of a nickel. Eventually, I think he could actually play safety, or they'll move him to replace a Darius Slay. But Quinion Mitchell right now is a top 5 cornerback in this sport. And again, if it's
I think DeJean needs to be played kind of like how the Lions use Brian Branch. I
yes,
think he needs to be that hybrid, just move around the defense, just be a playmaker type of guy. But
that is what he is. Yes.
The last thing about the DJ Reed thing, I just want to ask you, since you're on here, Alon, if we were to trade DJ Reed, let's say we get a third out of him,
Okay.
or maybe a third, and we have to throw back a 6th next year or something. Do you think that would be us saying we're done, like this?
No.
Like, we have no hope. We're just gonna. Do you think that's us saying that if we did that?
No, I don't think so. First of all, I wouldn't give up a 6 back. I mean, the minimum I would take was a 3 for him. I think you can get a 3 for him right now, a low end 3. I'm not talking about a top end 3, but a low end 3 you can get for him. No, I don't think so. I don't. Because again, do I look at this roster right now as a championship roster? I don't. And if you're going to lose him anyhow, why not get a player back? You see, I liked what Washington did last year. They knew they weren't going anywhere, and they got a top 45 pick for Montez Sweat, which was extremely important for their rebuild. And the Jets sat on their ass and did nothing with Bryce Huff, let him walk, and got nothing in return.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe we're playing the best ball that we can, A? And B, if not, do you think we can win a couple games while we get better?
Do I think this team can go on a run? I do. I think their schedule is so weak. I would be actually, you see, I look at next Sunday's game as more of a challenging matchup than I did yesterday, because they have top end offensive talent. And again, I have not seen the Jets consistently score 30. And I think that's what they're going to need next week. Again, we don't match up well against an elusive quarterback. As I said, I love Trey McBride. Again, I watch Iowa football all the time. That's the only position I really know. Again, I love Trey McBride. He's a stud. I worry about a handsy Ahmad Gardner. I'm not going to call him Sauce. Ahmad Gardner against Marvin Harrison Jr. It's a tough matchup. I think that team's going to score 24, 25, 26 plus. I do. So.
I do agree with you on that, but I also think that they're kind of top heavy with their weapons. Like beyond Harrison and McBride, like if one of those two get injured, can they,
I think Wilson's a nice player. I think Dortch has played his role well. He's a nice player. I don't think he's a great player. I think Connor is a weapon in the backfield. I think they'll run the ball. Again, what did you gain about yesterday? Again, they ran for about 185 yards against us yesterday. Okay. There isn't a guy on this roster right now that you have confidence that can stop the run. And that's why I was surprised Houston went away from the run so early. I was shocked.
I was too. Yeah.
Shocked.
I was also.
Scott, you're quiet. What do you think of all this?
I'm just listening. I agree with Alon with the whole Texans not running the ball last night.
Shocking.
I couldn't believe it. That was great. But back to Reed, I think the Jets are going for it still.
They are. No, I think yesterday's game changed their trade value plans completely.
Sure.
But I said, if a team calls us and says, here's a 2, I'm thinking to myself, you got to listen. I mean, that's intriguing. To get a 2 for an impending free agent that 70, I'll say 80% of the chance that he's going to walk, why not trade him? Again, this is a 3-6 team. This is not a 6-3 team. This is a team that's going to have to, if they make that miracle run to the playoffs, they're going to have to win 3 road games to make the Super Bowl. Okay, they're not going to play any games in their building. They're going to have to win in Baltimore. They're going to have to win in Buffalo. They're going to have to win in Kansas City. Again, do you think this is a championship team? I don't. Again, they've put themselves so behind the 8 ball, losing to the likes of Denver and New England. I mean, this should be minimum of 5-win team, and they're 3-6. So again, if Reed was on the table and someone offered us a 2, I would trade him tomorrow.
But someone would offer a 2?
Nah, I don't think it. I mean, you would need multiple teams to drive it up that high, I think. But a 3, a conditional 3.
I did read that Minnesota was very intrigued by Reed. Very intrigued.
But then also you agree the Jets are going for it.
I don't. I think
you're really. Can you call that going for it if you're trading a starter?
I think they're stuck. I think I said in a couple of shows, I think they're stuck in mediocrity right now. They're 3-6. They're not top 5 pick level, but they're not at a point right now where you think this team could do anything in the playoffs. I just don't see them being this. They're stuck, especially when you have a GM, wants to go all in because he's expecting to get another 3-year deal. Okay. That's the problem. You're stuck in mediocrity. Again, that win yesterday, the effort in the second half was fantastic, but you're thinking to yourself, we're 3-6. We got to go 7-1 to make the playoffs. What are we? I don't even know what the Jets are right now. I really don't. I don't.
What? I agreed. It's mind-boggling. I just, as a fan, I think the September and the October we just went through, like, I'm fucking tired of the planning for the future. Like, if it means, and Daniel said we could get a comp pick, who knows? But, like, if it means not getting a sure 3rd-round pick out of sending Reed away, for us to have a better 8 weeks of football, like, if you send Reed away, Sauce is going to get torched.
here's
Okay,
the
here's a
difference.
question, okay?
Uh,
They lose next Sunday to Arizona. The trade deadline has passed.
Facts.
What do you think? What are you doing?
It's too late. Yeah,
It's
it's
too
over.
late.
Yeah, it's over.
You can't lose another game until the Buffalo game. They
If you
have to be 6-6. They have to win their next 3.
you have
lose
to beat
one more.
Arizona. Like
Yeah,
if you can't, you're not going to win an AFC playoff game if you can't beat Arizona. You can't.
yeah.
You're not.
Right now, I think Arizona might be their second hardest game left. I think they could beat Seattle and the Rams at home. I think Seattle's a good team. I think traveling cross country is not easy. I actually think Arizona might be their second hardest game left in their schedule. I do. I do. I don't buy the Dolphins. You never know. Tua might fall down and break his neck, and that'll be it. Again, I don't think they'll win in Orchard Park. It again, but again, if you lose to Arizona next week, yesterday meant absolutely nothing because your season's over.
Playing like we have,
it's
it's
clinched up by the time that game comes around. They
When
may
is
not-
that? That game is early December.
I thought it was late. Maybe I'm
Is it?
wrong.
I
I mean,
can bring.
they'll play for a 2 seed. They might be
Hold
playing
on.
for a 2 seed.
Hold on, I got you guys. Just talk for a moment. I'll bring it up.
I was thinking that they were like the last or second last game of the year.
Was it that late? I didn't think it was that late. You might be right.
So it's
Here it
definitely
comes.
13. Where's it at? Where's it at?
There we go.
Okay, the second last game of the season.
Oh, it's the 29th. Okay, they might not be playing, but they could still be playing for a 2 seed.
Nobody's gonna
You see,
want
I think
if we're still alive. Then they're not gonna want to let us in though either,
No.
because like it means we are rolling. You know.
Mhm.
But that's the thing. Like, do you believe this team? Like, I gotta believe we haven't seen this team's best. We have not even put together four consecutive quarters or all 3 phases. The question is, do I believe they will? And that's where I'm torn. Like, because I have to bet. You have to bet that they will. You don't even get the benefit of time. You have to say right now, is this
Yes.
team gonna play flawless or not? And that's where I'm like, chance to comp pick. Let's just try. Like, I deserve it as a fan for them to try.
Yeah, and here's
Let
the
me ask a
difference.
question.
Here's the
If they lost yesterday, would you have traded Reed by Tuesday? No matter
Yes.
what.
Yes,
Daniel.
I would have.
Yeah. If you can get a third or better,
Okay.
I could. But here's the difference. Like in our mindsets right now, where we're different, Alan, from you, is I agree with you. We are not a Super Bowl contender right now.
No.
We are not. I don't, and it's not even. I think the talent is there on the team. I think the team is talented. I don't think the coaching is there. There's no experience at head coach. There's no, you know what I mean? The coaching is not there. They haven't proven themselves, even though they may be a grade above what we were a few weeks ago whenever Saleh was still here and Hackett was calling the plays. But I don't trust the coaching to get us clear to the Super Bowl and win it. So I'm with you on that. But I just want to see us make the fucking playoffs for once. Like, break that streak. Like, can we do that and then maybe get a little momentum going into the next year, regardless of what the circumstances are and who the coach is and all that? I want to see playoffs. So, like,
Okay, so
I would rather see playoffs, keep Reed, get a compensatory pick, a 5th round or whatever, 2 years from now, rather than getting a 3rd round right now. I know that might sound crazy to you, I understand. I'm just saying that our mindsets are different at the moment. Like, I just got my eyes on, hopefully, like, can we please make the playoffs and break this streak?
I was never saying they should trade Reed for anything below a 3. I said if a team calls for a 2, that's when you listen. I don't think the team will, but you never know.
I don't either. But I want in on this one because Alon, they didn't lose.
I know.
And they showed they showed some life in the second half. They moved the ball. They got after the quarterback. I don't know. I hope they go for it. But I get your point too. Yeah, they lose the next 2 games, and why didn't we trade Reed? I mean, I get that, but right now they got a shot.
What frustrates me about last night is what the hell happened from April 1st till a week ago with Reddick? There's so much more that meets the eye. The idea that it took nearly 7 months to get here, knowing what type of player he could have been if he was with this team from the start. There's much more that has not been told.
You
See,
may not have.
everybody-
You might, dude. We might have Jermaine right now if we had Reddick. We don't know because he could have been subbed out on that play.
Everybody's blaming Reddick on this situation, and they're just basically saying, "Oh, it's not Joe Douglas's fault." I don't buy it. I think Joe Douglas has a lot to do with this. Again, he had an opportunity when that deal was made. Roseman gave him a chance to negotiate with him. Okay, it wasn't that he was just traded for a trade. He said, "Here, you can talk to him." The idea that he talked to him, and it took 6.5 months to get pen on paper, is bizarre. It's something I have never seen. When you make a trade of this magnitude and it takes you nearly 7 months to get this done, something must have been said. Something must have been had. I don't know what the offer was initially. What's up?
I was just pointing at something Dane
Oh,
said.
sorry. Yeah.
A lot of I'm getting a lot of does it matter what Buffalo does with the rest of our season or their season when it comes to us? All it matters is our games together, right? Like I'm not missing something here.
The division's over. I mean, that's obvious. They're not. No one's beating them.
Right.
They're not losing the division. In many ways, I think the Jets better hope that they win. I mean, I'll root for them against the Dolphins this week. I'd rather have Buffalo go 13-4 and not need that game in December. So people
we
who
need
hate
the
the Bills
keep winning at the top. Like
I hope they win out. I know they have a tough game in Detroit next month, but again, they proved a lot to me last Sunday in Seattle. In that environment, with that weather, they absolutely dominated them. And people say, "Oh, the Bills are soft," and the Bills play with a lot of edge for a team that lost a lot from last year's team. They play, and they're getting Miller back this week as well. So they got a lot of talent, and they play with a lot of edge. I'll tell you that.
I don't know who's saying they're soft.
A lot of people have said that.
Who?
There have been people who said, "Oh, the Bills are not that good." The Bills are a good team.
They're better than I thought they were going to be after
they are
season.
I still thought they were going to be good. I didn't think they were going to still dominate like they have been. But yeah,
the best player in the division.
They've always been a tough trench team. I've never thought of them as soft. The only thing I ever think of them is like how far will Josh Allen take them? You know, where is he going to make that mistake? That is what I think of when I think of the Bills.
I'll tell you one thing about Allen. Allen gets a bad rap because remember that overtime game in Kansas City? He was flawless in that game.
Incredible.
And it was because of a coaching fuck up they lost that game. Okay? Last year when they lost to the Chiefs at home, I mean, the ball went right through the hands of Stephon Diggs on a bomb. So you could take him into task on the loss at home to the Bengals a couple of years ago, but Josh Allen has really performed well in the playoffs. People give him a hard time. The 2 games against the Chiefs, he's played really well in the playoffs. The Chiefs are just a better team. They're just more battle tested. But again, people give, and I'm a big Allen guy, people give him a bad rap. That guy's the second best quarterback in the league. And no one's going to change my mind on that. He's just not. They're not. So.
Well, and the Bills did miss a big field goal that game.
They did.
You know, we know all about that. But
Bass.
do you think there's any teams in the league that are flawless? I don't.
I think the Chiefs defense is elite.
But their offense, say what you want, their offense isn't special by any means.
I think the team that could beat them in the playoffs.
Well,
I think Baltimore could beat them. I think the
Who
Lions,
who can beat Detroit? That's the question.
they need
I
help
think
on
the
defense.
NFC is who
Their
beats
defense is the problem.
Their pass rush, but they'll get that fixed. I think they'll pick up multiple guys in the next 4 days. I think
Really?
you'll notice they might lose Sunday in Lambeau, but you'll see. I mean, even the coach has called out the GM to get themselves some players. So again, I brought up Zadarius Smith. That's a name I've been hearing a lot of. I don't think they'll go all in for a Crosby, but I think they'll get themselves.
They got
I mean, he's a local kid. He'd love to go back home.
Yeah.
So, but again, I think they'll get multiple
Who's
pass
defense?
rushers.
You drop 50 on every team you play.
Yeah, but again, in the playoffs, you got to make plays. They do. But their offenses. I saw them a couple of weeks ago here in Dallas. It's such a special unit to watch.
Yeah, and that's
way
something I've actually meant to tell you. Like, I've been on that train. Like, if we ever got rid of Saleh, and I know you mentioned this. Hell, you mentioned this like a year and a half ago.
I did.
I'm all about the Ben Johnson train. I
Never
have
coming here.
offensive head coach for as long as I can remember. And the only one we've ever fucking hired was goddamn Adam Gase. Like, I don't know what the hell they were thinking then, you know. Can we not get like a Ben Johnson in here? Can we not get somebody that actually knows how to run a damn offense? I'm sick.
I read that Ben Johnson was very intrigued by the Bears job. So if Eberflus fails, I think that's where he ends up.
Young quarterback.
Yeah. Again, if Buffalo continues to falter in the playoffs, to me, that's the number one job. I would take that job in 2 seconds if I was him. The guy that would be the most intriguing, and I don't think he'll give us a second chance, is Todd Monken. See, Todd Monken was bypassed for Adam Gase because Peyton Manning was in Woody Johnson's ear. Again, I don't think Todd Monken will go for the second try. He'd be a great hire, like a great hire. To me, I don't think there's really another offensive young guy that's going to take this job if he has to deal with Rodgers. I don't think they will.
What's a more attractive job, the Jets or the Jags?
I'll tell you, I think for Johnson, I think the opportunity to coach a Lawrence would be intriguing because, again, Jared Goff was not a good quarterback at the end of his tenure with the Rams. They couldn't wait to get rid of him. And you look at the way he plays now, I know people talk about the weapons he has and the offensive line, but you see a confident kid week in and week out. He's right now a top 5 cornerback in the league. So maybe a Johnson would look at a Lawrence and say, you know what? Why not take a chance? The problem is, does a coach want his first job coaching a 41 going on a 42-year-old quarterback if Rodgers comes back? It's not an easy job to take, and you never know. You don't know if Rodgers is going to make,
especially one that's going to have a lot of say in the organization and in the locker room and the offense. He's going to, you're going to try to implement something, and he's going to say, "I don't like that."
What if it buys you a year? Like, okay, that's Rodgers' season, and then you can build the team under it.
How do you know Rodgers isn't going to call Woody Johnson while he's working for the Trump administration and say, you know what? I know I'm bringing up politics, but it's a factor. If Trump wins Tuesday night, Woody's out of the way. Then you got to deal with Chris. Remember, Chris is the one who hired Saleh. Okay, so you never know. And if you're a coach, do you worry that Rodgers makes the call to the owner and say, I don't want this guy to talk on my behalf? Again, I would never take the Jet job if it means to be tied with Rodgers. I don't know if I would. I don't think that would be the right first job. I don't think so.
But then I mean, Saleh had 0 coaching experience, and he plopped right into the 12th highest paid coaches in the league for coaching here. Imagine if you're like, honestly, and I hate to say it, you can throw stones at me. It would not shock me if Mike McCarthy was here on a 1-year deal next year. I'm telling you, man, if Rodgers is here, who else, like you said, who else is taking the job?
That ended very badly. That's not happening.
Who else is taking the job, though?
Who would take the job?
There's only 32 of those jobs in the league, man.
There will be a
That's
veteran coach. You see, like if Ohio State doesn't win the championship, I think Vrabel takes the Ohio State job, but I think he'd be intrigued by our job. Is there an offensive-minded coach that would take our job that's young? No. I don't know. I don't think. I don't
Aaron
think.
Glenn.
No, I don't want a young defensive coach anymore. I
Not
love it.
you,
I love.
but like, would they?
No, I don't. I don't think it's the right job for him. No.
What about
I think Aaron Glenn.
what about Steelers OC?
No, I don't even know. No,
Or
Might
no,
not
I
be
don't
a
want
good
him.
fit, but he
Arthur
might want a
Smith,
head
no.
job.
Thanks. Arthur Smith, no, I don't want him. No, there are guys like people brought up Cliff is running full speed downhill. I think people are intrigued by Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury in New York City would be on page 6 every day. I just don't think I think he's perfectly fit working with Jaden Daniels. Yep.
Well,
So-
he's an OC. Has he ever
He's not a head
done
coach.
well as a head? Has he ever done well as a head coach? I know they
No.
went to the playoffs one year, but college, Arizona, no.
The
thank
only
you.
name that would intrigue me, but it will never happen, is John Gruden because of the lawsuit with the NFL. John Gruden would be perfect because he wouldn't take any shit from Rodgers. He'd be like, you know what, I'm the head coach. I
He'd
don't know
probably
how
have
they-
a job. He'd have a job already if it wasn't for that, don't you think?
Absolutely. But again, going back to the Reed situation, do I think he gets traded? No. Would I be intrigued if someone makes that call if a team loses a cornerback this weekend? I would. Because again, do I think this team is going anywhere? No. They might make the playoffs on a big run. Again, I don't think they'll go into Baltimore and win. I don't think they'll go into Buffalo and win in the playoffs. I just don't. I just don't
Just-
actually have the horses.
To establish your line, though, if you hear that we've traded Reed for a fifth,
I
are
would
you
not
mad?
make the deal. No, I'd be
okay.
pissed.
You would
I would.
chance. You would chance.
I would take the third. I'd be intrigued by the second. Yes.
Okay.
I think the third is right now the end all because he's a top 12 cornerback. Again,
Yes.
people are looking at him as an impending free agent, but again, you're talking about a team that's a win now team that wants to go for it, and maybe they lose a cornerback or they need a quarterback who could step in as a number 2. I would not trade him for anything less than a 3. And there's nobody else on the roster right now because they're not going to trade Reddick. I know people have been talking about trading Conklin. He's worth nothing. People are talking about trading Mike Williams. He's worth nothing. There's nobody else that you need to go and trade that's going to give you anything. Again, it's just Reed because I think Reed brings value back. That's it.
I'm with
And
I got one other question for you aside from the
sure, go for it.
hypothetically, if we go 7-1 for the rest of the season and we make the playoffs, are you going to start drinking your water with cayenne pepper in it?
I'll tell you one thing: if they finish 10-7 and they lose in the first round, I still fire Douglas.
I
do.
figured you would,
I do.
yeah. And there's a big conversation to be had after this season, regardless of what happens. However, it unfolds. It's a lot of
To
conversation.
me, it's
Does
a
he-
minimum. Go on.
Does he have trouble finding a job?
As a GM, yes, no one will hire him. He'll be a player personnel guy for the next 5 years. Think about this. Only the Jets are the only dumb organization who hires a coach who went 4-13 with 7-10 with the Dolphins, and he got a job the next year. Why would a team hire a GM who missed the playoffs 6 years in a row and say, "Here are the keys. You can run this shit show"? No, it makes no sense. There's only the Jets do that thing. No one else is going to hire him right away. There are many other people who are like, I don't know. You had an opportunity to watch the Connor Rogers, Trevor Sikkema podcast about the Jets the other day. It was phenomenal.
Yep.
There are many names out there that would get hired over Douglas. Many, like a laundry list. Again, he'd have to go back to a player personnel department, work for another 5 years, and maybe we'll say 20, 30 he'll get another opportunity as a GM. No one is hiring him right away as a GM. It makes no sense. So
Fair.
Alon, if the Jets go 7-1 from here on out, which would mean they end the season 8-1, nobody's going to want to play them. No one's going to want to play them. Buffalo would scare me. First of all, they should have beat Buffalo the first time. I know it was at home. Didn't have Adams yet. Baltimore, okay, that's another beast right there. I hate to watch Derrick Henry.
They would kill us. They would kill us.
I know. But
Derrick Henry would run for 200 yards in that game.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay, so yeah,
I agree with that one, but I'm not giving you Buffalo.
But that's the team right there. Again, if Baltimore gets the 2 seed, they would murder us.
But here's the other thing about Baltimore: their defense is at times,
but they're opportunistic. They have players who make plays. Again, Kyle Hamilton makes plays.
Yes, unlike
he makes plays. You think Baltimore would be afraid of the Jets coming to their building?
No, I don't. I don't think Baltimore would ever be afraid of anybody. That's not in their DNA. But
again, if you put Derrick Henry on that team last year, they would have beaten the Chiefs. They were running back away. They didn't have another weapon. They should have never lost that game. Never. They were the better team in law.
Buffalo scares me more than Baltimore does.
I do not. Not even
100%. No,
you think Buffalo
Derrick Henry before? I've seen us. I know we struggle sometimes against mobile quarterbacks, but we've also shut them down before too. I don't. They
got two tight ends. You know,
we have to turn the ball over on D
much more than Buffalo.
Yeah, for sure. Buffalo.
Baltimore has 2 top-end tight ends. I love the Deontay Johnson move for nothing. I think they're getting great production from Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. They have a ascending offensive line with a bunch of kids with my favorite player in Tyler Linderbaum. And they have a stud running back. Yeah. And they have a quarterback that will eat us alive in the running game. Eat us alive.
Do the Kansas City Chiefs scare you in the playoffs?
I think Kansas City plays the game very differently this year than they have the last couple of years. I think they are more likely to win games 2017 than they would be 34-31. Because their defense is opportunistic. They have a stud on all levels. Nick Bolton's a stud as a linebacker. They have a top 3 cornerback in McDuffie. Chris Jones is a star. I love Karlaftis. I think the Uche acquisition really helps him. He's a guy who can get to the quarterback. Again, they're going to beat teams more with their defense. And then when time needs to win a game, I think their quarterback will make a play. Again, all they need to do is be within a touchdown within the last 5 minutes and they'll win games.
Yeah, you cannot give him the ball to win the game.
Yeah.
You just
but
can't.
Again,
you got to step on their throat when you have the chance.
But can I see the Lions beating them in the playoffs? I do. I think the Lions could outscore them. I think the Lions are a machine offensively, a machine. I don't think they have any. They might add a receiver if the Williams issues continue. I can see them adding a receiver in the next couple of days. But that team is loaded. So,
Mike Williams, Alon?
No, I don't think we're going to trade him now because again, they're not trading him. Now they're not trading him. No. I think they'll get somebody. I think there'll be some. Like, you know what? I'll tell you one thing. If the Rams lose this weekend, can you see a Cooper Kupp go in there? You never know. I could see something like that.
Supposedly he was on the block.
He was. Yes.
Who's that other one, Scott? Who do we pick up in fantasy?
Whittington?
No.
Thielen?
Just Thielen. I heard that Thielen.
Yeah. He could be Dell. He's the guy that he's a guy who makes. You see, I was more intrigued of signing Thielen than signing Lazard. Alan Lazard. I always thought that Thielen and Rodgers had such great chemistry off the field. I thought he would have been a great fit with us. He's playmaker at like the slot position. So I always liked him. Again, the Lions are just so loaded. It's ridiculous. Offensively, they're so creative. That's what's amazing to watch. That game Sunday afternoon in Lambeau is going to be a feast to watch. That's just an amazing game. I'm shocked that's not a Sunday night game or a Monday night game. Shocked. That's a standalone game on Sunday afternoon. So
They just
Alon,
better beat the damn 49ers in the playoffs this year.
say it again.
They just better beat the damn 49ers in the playoffs this year.
I think they will.
That loss
I think
last was brutal.
I hope they didn't peak too soon. Can they sustain this for another 3 months?
I think they'll split their next two games. I could see them losing either tomorrow, either Sunday, or I could see them losing in Houston next week. I could. And then I think they got 3 home games in a row. I believe the last one happens to be the Bills. What are they now? They're 6-1. I think they're 6-1, I believe. I think they're a 13-14. Something like that. 13-4, 1 seed. Watch out for the Eagles down the stretch. They're really quiet. They're starting to play really well. That performance last week against the Bengals was very, very good.
And the Vikings are starting to fade.
I just don't trust the quarterback in a big spot.
And their defense hasn't been as good these last
No,
games.
it's not.
So,
Again, that's why I read a story that they were very intrigued about DJ Reed. I don't trust their secondary. I like their front seven. I don't like their back end at all. And again, DJ Reed would be their number 1 quarterback right now. They don't have a lot of talent back there in the secondary.
What's that?
And they
Daniel?
need a guy. What?
I
What's
said
that?
Byron Murphy's decent, but I'd still put DJ Reed over him.
Oh, Byron Murphy's a good player. He's not DJ Reed. DJ Reed's a better player than him right now. He'd be their number 1 right now.
Dude, Alon, I'm glad you called though, man, because this was healthy discourse, man. Glad you called.
Anytime. Always a pleasure, man. Have a good one.
You too.
yeah, Alan,